And we're back! Or we're here for the first time for those of you who chimed in only for part 2 of this extravaganza.
People found how to find us.
This is part 2 of Everyday Story Hour, for now, with Robbi and Matthew. For those of you who might not have experienced the absolute wonder of the last 30 minutes, I'm hyping the crowds. Yeah. I'm hyping the crowds.
Keep hyping, man.
Robbi's skepticism had a way of deflating my commentary. My name is Matthew Swanson, and I am an author.
Oh, are we doing this again?
We have to. It might be a different group of people.
Is it on the agenda?
All right. I want to let you know, I am an orderly type person with a business degree. I don't have a business degree. I have aspirations of a business degree, and I created an agenda. And the agenda, for those of you who don't know, is a way to bring order to chaotic proceedings. And anytime you're sitting next to Robbi Bear trying to accomplish something, chaos ensues. Chaos means unpredictable systems creating havoc. Havoc means disaster. Disaster means what it's like to sit next to Robbi without an agenda. So, therefore, the agenda is present. We're going to use the agenda to create an orderly and pleasant experience for you over the next half hour or so.
Nobody wants order.
What did that person say? Somebody wrote something long.
Yes.
Oh,
Science Boy's
our friend
here.
Science Boy is here. Science Boy has been a longtime friend and supporter of ours.
Yes.
We're going to give you a fist bump of greeting. Later there'll be fist bumps of farewell.
Oh.
Let us review the agenda. The
All right.
agenda saith, I don't remember. I wrote this agenda. I honestly don't remember. Robbi, read the agenda. What does it say?
Matthew says hello.
Hello!
I feel like you've been doing that already.
Well, I'm glad to know that I intuitively anticipated what the agenda had to say. Let's see what this says.
Even though you forgot.
Here we go.
Oh, Robbi gets exasperated with Matthew for having too detailed of an agenda.
What? Is that true? I mean, you've got to do it.
I haven't done... No, I did it in the last half hour. I feel like I accomplished that agenda item in our last meeting.
That's not very helpful to the people in this meeting, Robbi. Meetings don't magically overlap and morph. You have to bring it to this meeting.
Can you of my exasperation?
Can I? Is it legitimate? Do you feel it? Do you feel the burn of exasperation?
I'm having a little trouble now because the last agenda was actually not complete enough.
Okay.
You didn't include a closing statement.
Have we completed the second bullet item on today's agenda for the Real McCoys?
Can I just be exasperated?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Briefly introduce the Real McCoys.
Okay, so you guys, about 5 years ago now, I suppose, I got up early one morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I said, I'm going to write, and I wrote, and this voice came into my head, as sometimes happens in the wee hours. If I get up early enough, the part of my brain that creates ideas wakes up before the part of me that tells me ideas are terrible wakes up. So I started writing, and this person started talking to me, and that person turned out to be Moxie McCoy, the world's greatest 4th grade detective, okay? And she told me that she could solve any mystery, that she could defeat any challenge, that she could solve any puzzle. Very self-confident young woman, riddled with certain flaws, as we will come to find out. Robbi, tell our friends about this gentleman down here and his importance in this narrative and in our hearts.
That is Milton.
Yes.
It's a little hard to see.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there he is.
There he is, okay.
So Milton is Moxie's little brother.
Yes.
He's in 1st grade.
Yes, he is.
But he's very wise.
Oh, he
He's
is.
very scholarly.
He's
What's
very
the word?
very
Schooled?
intellectual.
Intellectual.
Observant.
He's very intellectual. So he's very
patient.
observant. Yes. And so his strengths sort of counter Moxie's strengths. They are complementary. They are collaborative.
They are. We like to talk about collaboration a lot. At some point, once we're into this, we're going to give you a full-on school presentation about the Real McCoys and collaboration. But for now, we want to get right into the story.
We just want to read the book.
So I think that's all you need to know. I want you guys who might not be... I mean, this book is for anyone who enjoy it. We wrote it. There's nothing untoward in the subject matter. Kindergartners can enjoy it and do enjoy it. Precocious readers will enjoy it. People who don't usually read books this fat, Robbi, show them why. They're going to be very excited as we begin.
Look how many pictures there are.
Oh my gosh.
There's just lots of pictures.
All right.
So we're going to read through that.
Well, let's see. We'll see what the agenda says we're going to do. What's next?
Oh, what's next?
Read prologue?
Prologue.
All right. I think we should do that.
Do you get to read this again?
Yeah.
I like reading out loud, you guys. I'm a little sad that I'm a technical person.
Do you remember how before we started I said who's going to read and you decided I should read? I just think that's the...
I think that you can read. I think that I can read.
Okay.
You can click the pages.
We will discuss that between this and the next live cast. For now, I am
Just so
going
we know,
to read.
the next agenda, the invisible agenda item is Robbi gets annoyed that she didn't get to read.
I anticipated that, but decided not to write it down because I would have gotten in trouble for that. Friends, if you have a copy of the Real McCoys, grab it, take it. We are going to read it to you now. For you who don't, we're going to show the illustrations anyway. So let's get started. It is The Real McCoys by Matthew Swanson, Robbi Bear, edited by the fabulous Aaron Stein, art directed by the amazing Natalie Sousa, Jessica, did a lot of amazing design work behind the scenes to make this book look great. So thank you guys. Jessica Lauren Chung, extraordinary. We're going to just get started. All right. This book is in the first person. All right. It is going to be narrated by Moxie McCoy. Let us begin.
Oh, there's
the Real McCoys.
The Real McCoys.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, this is just the title page that says all of the important people
look what's
who helped
happening.
with this book.
A fuse is getting lit, and
yes.
something's going to blow. The name's Moxie McCoy. If you didn't know already, Moxie means force of character. It means ultimate determination. It means death-defying nerve. In other words, you have been warned. I am 10 years old. I am in the 4th grade. I go to Tiddlywump Elementary School. And that is all you need to know about me. At least that's all you get to know. I like to be a little bit mysterious, thank you very much. It helps me do what I do. I guess you can look at the comments during this time and see if there's anything we should know.
Thanks.
And what do? I solve problems, of course. Favorite notebook missing? I will find it. Someone took your lunch money? I'm on it. Think you might be the long-lost heir of a legendary British earl and need definitive proof? I live for the challenge. I have been trained by the best of the best, by which I mean Annabelle Adams, girl detective, protector of justice, and thwarter of all things menacing or unpleasant. Annabelle's thrilling adventures contain the solution to any problem, and I have read all 58 books in the series 37 and a half times. What Annabelle knows, I know, and Annabelle knows everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This story hasn't actually started yet. So why am I telling you this? Because sometimes it's nice to have a taste of dessert before you start your dinner.
Oh, whoops.
The littlest nibble of double fudge brownie or the smallest scoop of ice cream. To get you through the salad and the meatloaf and the soup. To let you know the good stuff's on its way. All right, I have to put this down because I am aware that there is an item on the agenda that corresponds with, what does it say? What does it say?
Robbi tells me.
No, sorry.
Read prologue.
Read prologue. Now Robbi has to tell a knock-knock joke.
Oh,
Yeah, we have an interruption in the action here. Robbi, do you have one? I guess I could have done you the courtesy, my colleague, of informing you.
This is another good thing to learn if you're in business meetings.
Yeah, you've got to be.
Spring something like that on your colleague.
The thing to know if you're in business meetings is always have a knock-knock joke at the ready.
Yes.
So please go ahead.
And say with confidence, even if you don't have confidence. So knock knock.
Who's there?
I learned so many knock-knock jokes at Halloween, and I don't remember any of them.
This is so unkind of me, because you know what? I don't have a knock-knock joke either.
Maybe somebody can tell us a knock-knock joke.
Does somebody have one?
Yes.
Okay. How about this?
You guys come up with a knock-knock joke for me.
So we'll move on. We'll move on to the agenda.
So I don't get fired.
At the end, we'll have a reader-provided knock-knock joke. What's next?
Evaluate remaining time.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
It's 1:37.
Okay.
We got
All right.
tons
What does
of
it
time.
say?
Read chapters 1 and 2. Now I think you're getting ambitious.
Wait, it's a question mark.
Question mark.
It says read chapters 1 and 2 question mark.
We'll start at 1.
We'll start with chapter 1. We'll see how it's going. Robbi is going to evaluate your commentary. Please bring the commentary. If you have any wonders about this book, we will answer your questions.
Yes. Write your questions in the
comments.
In the comments.
Yeah.
In the sidebar.
Are there other places to write them?
Well, because when this becomes a non-live streamed video,
is it not there?
We won't necessarily know to answer the questions in the comments. We'll try. But
Okay.
Anyway,
here we go.
The point is, okay, Matthew's going to keep going.
Chapter 1, making a list. But we need Robbi
Wait,
to
I need
put
to
the.
click some buttons. I'm sorry.
We're working this.
There we
We're
go.
working out the kinks.
There we
We're
go.
going to keep doing this, friends.
Oh wait, I wanted to point something out.
What do you want to point out?
Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to go back to here we go.
Okay.
So if you guys were paying attention, you might have noticed that there's a little piece of text up here that is in red. See where it says didn't? Here's the thing. When we were making this book, I'm going to go back to when we were making this book. This file is actually from the last version of the book before we sent it away to Aaron and Natalie to actually turn into a book. So it was at the time it wasn't printed out or anything. It's just a
it's not final
PDF
art
file. It's not final art.
Yeah.
So in that, I had to somehow show them what the last little tweaks and changes that we needed to make. And in that case, it was that didn't had turned in from did not into didn't. We contracted it. And so that's why it's red to signal to them. Make sure that in your file, you switch it from did not to didn't.
That's some inside baseball, my friends.
Inside baseball, but the funny thing is, we're going to go through this whole file and find lots and lots of little red markups. And what I want you to pay attention to is that little tiny things like this are the things that editors are paying attention to. So when you are working on your book, sometimes you might think, it doesn't really matter if I say did not or didn't. It's kind of all the same. Everybody tells me they're the same. They feel a little bit different.
They do.
And so that's
and I
why...
have very strong opinions, and sometimes the magnificent Ehrenstein has even stronger opinions. She's very tall, so sometimes when we come to loggerheads, which means we don't agree, sometimes she wins. But usually it's because she has a well-reasoned answer and not because of her height.
She's not just, yes, exactly.
She's not just terrifying. She's also persuasive and wise. All right, can I read chapter 1?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I just wanted to point that out.
No, we are going to stop and explain things to you from time to time because, frankly, friends, we have some time. Okay, so chapter 1, making a list. It is Friday, December 18th. It is 12:37 a.m. I am not asleep because I am making a list of questions to use when interviewing new best friend candidates. My old best friend is Maud. She is fascinating and beautiful and speaks Korean. Her hair is black, her eyes are gray, and she gets a triple dimple when she smiles. Utterly amazing things about Maud. Rides a unicycle, hates soup, can hit a bottle with a slingshot from 50 paces, loves avocados, adores slugs, appreciates the mellow timbre of a well-played flugelhorn, can put her left leg behind her head, but for some reason not her right one. Maud recently moved to California, and I'm not sure my life will be possible without her. I tried to explain this to her mom and dad, but they refused to listen. We were the perfect problem-solving duo, known to clients and enemies alike as M&M Incorporated. I was the muscle, and Maud was the brains. I collected clues, and she connected dots. Our work was legendary, as in The Case of the Missing Lunchbox, The Riddle of the Great Big Pile of Whiteboard Erasers, and The Confusing Situation Involving Two Blonde Boys Named Donald. We were respected. We were feared. There was no problem we couldn't handle when we put our heads together. Since Maud left town, the cases take longer to solve and are only half as fun. Choosing her replacement is perhaps the most important decision I will ever make, and I need to get it right. And so, I am making a list. Question number 1. Do you like soup? One day in kindergarten, they served us chicken noodle soup for lunch. But because soup of any kind is watery and horrible, both Maud and I cried so hard that Mrs. Swellengrove sent us to the nurse's office to calm down. There, on the nurse's bench, with snot running from our puffy red noses, Maud and I agreed that we would be best friends forever. Question number 2. How do you feel about avocados? Extra credit for mentioning guacamole. I had my first bite of guacamole on a blue corn chip at Maud's house one day in first grade, and since that electrifying moment, my life has never been the same. Avocados are special to me in the way that birthdays and water balloons and really ripe peaches are special to me. Having a best friend who doesn't like avocados would be like having a dentist who doesn't like washing your hands before sticking them in your mouth.
How did we know?
Bad. We have hand washing references in both of our readings today.
today.
There's a reason for that, my friends. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. This is sidebar. Wash your hands. Question number 3. Which are better, marshmallows or slugs? Should be obvious. After every rainstorm, Maud and I would go outside to look for slugs on drain pipes and fence posts. Because both of us agree that slugs are beautiful, remarkable creatures that get a bad reputation on account of being slimy. Marshmallows, on the other hand, are only slightly less awful than soup. Maud and I do not understand how blobby chunks of sugary fluff can create such excitement. The person who invented them is surely laughing somewhere. Question number 4. Can you ride a unicycle? Bonus points for eyes closed. When we were in second grade, Maud begged her parents for a unicycle, then practiced for a year until she could ride forward and backward with her eyes closed. Try as I might, I cannot do it. Not forward, not backward, not even with my eyes open. If Maud wanted to, she could be a professional unicyclist, but she plans to be a pediatric oncologist. As I read through my list, my heart sinks to the bottom of the ocean in my chest. Trying to find another Maud Vandenkloot is like trying to take a nap while riding on the back of a galloping rhinoceros. That's one of my favorite illustrations in this book, Robbi.
Thanks.
I love that rhinoceros.
I do too.
Yeah.
I like the sinking heart to the bottom of the ocean.
I like it all. Robbi, I admire and respect your talent, and
Thanks,
I'm lucky
man.
that I get to collaborate with
Aww.
you. Hey, did any questions come up while we were reading chapter
was that the
1?
end of the
Or chapter 2?
already?
That was chapter 2. Oh, chapter 1.
1.
So I could read chapter 2,
Well, what
but
time
let's
is
see
it?
if we have any people who are interested in knowing anything.
We had some good jokes.
We're only 15 minutes into us. We have time for chapter 2, for sure.
All right, wait. I want to check with some jokes. There was a little mix-up. I thought that somebody thought slugs were yummy.
Oh.
But it turns out they thought avocados. It was Charlie. Avocados were yummy.
Are yummy, Charlie. You're a wise person, Charlie.
All right, so we had...
Do we have some jokes? I think somebody had some jokes.
Well, Cameron wanted me to tell his joke, and I'm not sure that I get it.
Grayson, I think, did a whole joke for us. So it's knock, knock, who's there? Andy who? Does anyone want to hear my joke? Yes, Grayson! Very nice.
Now you have to tell us your joke, though.
Well, that was the joke, Robbi. So thank you for saving Robbi from the indignity of not coming up with a joke.
Okay. Because he would double check to see that we saw it.
All right.
Why did the firefly get hit by a roof? Oh, this isn't a knock-knock, but that's okay.
By a roof?
By a roof.
I don't know.
Because the firefly burned it off.
Okay. I mean, I like it. I like the sort of mental imagery it invokes.
I know.
Sometimes a joke is about hitting you in the gut with guffaws, and sometimes
Yes.
it's about titillating your intellect. And I count that in the latter category. Thank you for that joke. I'm now thinking very hard about fireflies and roofs. And
All right. Well, we got it, Cameron. Thank you. Thank you for contributing.
All right.
We have lots of people reiterating that, that we need to wash hands. So thank you.
Yes, that is absolutely true, friends. I'm actually going to consult the agenda and see. Read chapters 1 and 2. I think we're going to read chapter 2, and then we will go back. And then we will go back. Please, friends, interrupt if you like. We have many tidbits to share with you.
What do you mean interrupt if you like?
Well, with questions. With questions, yes.
Don't call us on the telephone.
No, in fact, we took our telephone off the hook. So
Sorry.
if any grandmas or grandpas
Basically, this is for my dad, who's the only person who calls us.
I
on the
didn't
phone.
want to single him out. I hope
Who
you're
is a
watching,
grandpa?
Robert.
Hi, Bob.
In fact, our kids didn't realize. We call Bob, Robbie's dad, Bob, because he doesn't want to be called Grandpa. And so, how old was Kato?
He was probably 6.
When somebody said, "Hey, how's your grandfather?" and Kato was like, "Bob is my grandfather?
Yeah.
I thought he was just a guy named Bob."
I thought he just was a guy who came over for dinner all the time.
So there is usefulness sometimes to the shorthands we use culturally to describe our relatives. In any case, onward with chapter 2 of the Real McCoys. Robert, will you take this? It's causing my legs to sit in a funny position.
All
right. Yeah, we don't want that.
I don't want your
don't want
legs sitting in a funny
Chapter
position.
2 of the Real McCoys. Oh, brother. Suddenly it's morning. I do 20 jumping jacks. Oh, that's not why I put it in the agenda. Yeah.
I had to do jumping jacks in the first agenda.
I touch my toes 100 times. I spend precisely 20 minutes reading Annabelle Adams' Girl Detective Volume 32, 2 Steps Too Far. It's the one where Annabelle becomes a double agent, then a triple agent, and then, surprise, a quadruple agent. By the end, everyone is so confused that no one knows who Annabelle works for but Annabelle, who was actually a quintuple agent all along. Annabelle is the best, you guys. While all the senators and archaeologists stand around shouting, she finds the critical clue, a dirty gym sock, that basically unravels the entire mystery, jumps out of a flaming helicopter, lands on the head of the 100-foot statue of King Whiplash III, and discovers the stolen blueprints of the megabit robotic elbow. In the statue's left nostril, of course, thwarting her nemesis Dr. Fungo and his evil plot to conquer the pointy part of Idaho. I reread Annabelle's adventures each and every morning because 1, I love them, and 2, Annabelle is my hero and Maud's hero, and 3, Maud and I spend every day at recess discussing Annabelle's techniques and using them to solve our clients' problems. At least we used to before Maud moved to California and left me in misery. After reading, I go downstairs and eat 2 bowls of oatmeal, power for the brain, and do a crossword puzzle. My little brother Milton shows up and pours himself a bowl of atomic nut bombs and starts reading an enormous book called Gods of Ancient Rome. It's the kind of book you'd read in middle school. Milton is in 1st grade. I have to admit, his brain is a marvel, but I never tell him that. If his head gets any bigger, we'll need a new house. Happenstance, says Milton. What? Another word for coincidence, he says. 9 down. Happenstance. It's the crossword clue I've been working on. I did not ask for help. Milton has an unpleasant way of answering questions before they are asked. You didn't even look. I read it yesterday, he says with his mouth full, which he knows is impolite, and also a choking hazard. I look at Milton and ask myself for the millionth time where he came from. My parents are amazing. I am well on the way to becoming the greatest detective in history, and Milton is... Milton. It doesn't quite add up. Dad works at the bicycle factory. His hands are strong from pulling levers all day. He has read every book in the library. He has been to every single state. He can juggle 5 balls at once and drives a motorcycle with a blue flame painted on the side. Mom is an entomologist who travels all over the world. Right now she is in the Amazon rainforest, discovering new kinds of insects in the tallest trees. She is probably a spy and possibly a samurai, but this is classified information. You are probably wondering if she ever named an insect after me, and the answer is of course she did, and probably will again. It's called the Moxymaxis, and it eats other bugs for lunch, and it has bright green spots on its proboscis, which is the part of an insect's mouth if you didn't already know. Milton, on the other hand, is like a turtle mixed with a watermelon mixed with a pile of pine cones. And by that, I mean he moves really slowly, has a great big head, and never has anything interesting to say. He follows every rule. He chews every bite of food 30 times before swallowing it. And he's the shortest kid in his class by about 4 inches. It seems almost impossible that Milton could be my actual brother. I sometimes wonder if he might have been left on our doorstep by a family of aliens from a planet so boring that no one wants to raise their kids there. Because my parents are just the sort of kind and remarkable people who would be willing to take in an uninspiring alien baby and raise him as their own, even if he could never be a real McCoy. My dad shows up and fixes himself some eggs. Status report: 6 dreams. Good ones? 4 good, 2 bad. One of the bad dreams had been about Maud leaving town, and the other had been about otters. Even though they are extremely cute, otters have always worried me. That's progress, Dad says, munching his toast. Yep, I say. When Maud first moved, pretty much all my dreams had been bad. How about you, friend? Says Dad, kissing the top of Milton's head. Milton doesn't like to talk about his dreams. When's Mom coming home? He asks, trying to change the subject. You know the answer, says Dad. Mom won't be home in time for Christmas. She is very close to discovering a brand new bug. She has recently found its poop, which is green and iridescent and not like any poop she's seen before. But she hasn't found the bug itself, so she has to follow the poop trail while the poop trail is hot. As a problem solver myself, I understand this. Sometimes sacrifices must be made in the name of the greater good. But it really bothers Milton, I can tell. The phone rings. It's Mom calling for her morning hello. Dad says a bunch of gooey stuff. And then Milton talks to Mom for a few minutes. Uh-huh. Yep. Yes. Yep. Then it's my turn. These morning chats with Mom are the best part of my day. Morning, Slim. Slim is my detective name. It inspires fear in the heart of my enemies. And love in the heart of my mom. Morning, I say. How's your list of questions coming? Making progress, I say. I'm about to start interviewing candidates. Don't be too hard on the applicants. I'll let you know how it goes. Listen, she says. I need you to do me a favor. Anything, I say, because I would literally do anything for this amazing person who grew me from nothing in her belly, wiped my bottom for 2.67 years, and named a bug after me. I need you to keep an eye on Milton, she says. He seems sad. I had been hoping she was going to ask me to infiltrate a heavily guarded fortress, but I can tell from her voice that she's actually worried. He really looks up to you, she says. Okay, I'm on it. I love you, says Mom. I say it back. As I hang up the phone, Milton looks up at the clock and panics. It's time to go, he cries, knocking over his orange juice, which he now has to clean up, which makes him panic more. We have plenty of time, but Milton likes to get to school really early, just in case a sinkhole opens up in the sidewalk, or dinosaurs attack, or a comet obliterates the bridge over Ample Creek, for example. Usually, I like to give him a hard time about it by chewing my breakfast really slowly, or pretending that my shoes have been stapled to the floor. But today, I put on my coat and my boots more quickly than usual. And before you accuse me of getting soft, it's because I also want to get to school early today, for reasons that will become clear as soon as I feel like sharing them with you.
End of chapter.
Oh, man. I really enjoyed reading that to you guys. Thank you for listening, if anyone is still there. Is anyone still there, Robbi?
I tell you, yes, there's all kinds of discussion going on.
Well, let's hear it.
About jokes. I read and avocados and whether they're delicious or not. And, man, some more knock-knock jokes. Knock-knock, who's there? Bell no work?
I would like you, while you are reviewing it, to look for questions, because it is time to answer questions.
Oh, all right.
Are there any questions?
Knock-knock jokes.
Well, no, if there are jokes, that is also fine, but I wanted to point out the next agenda item. While you are looking, I want to say that here's something I noticed. This copy of the Real McCoys was signed and dedicated to someone, but never sent to them. And this is why. A friend of ours offered to send, or asked us to dedicate a copy of the Real McCoys to a real legit celebrity, and Robbi was out of town. So I was the one that had to dedicate the book, and I was so nervous that I wrote it so sloppily and badly that I ruined 3 copies of the Real McCoys before I got one that was even slightly acceptable to send to the celebrity. I'm sure the celebrity still doesn't know what it said inside because I was the one. If you guys ever ask us to dedicate your books,
Make sure that I'm home when you do it.
Robbi's the one that does it. So there's a little bit of anecdotal something or other for you.
All right.
Do we have any?
Here's some questions.
Okay, let's hear it.
How did you come up with the idea of what her mom does?
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, honestly, I wanted Moxie's mom to be unambiguously awesome. I wanted her to be super smart. I wanted her to be super talented, someone that Moxie could really look up to. So Moxie has her sort of fantasy hero, right, in Annabelle Adams, who doesn't really exist. She's a character in a book. But Moxie also has this other super strong, awesome woman in her life, her mom, who is smart, who is accomplished, who is doing cool things in the world. And as you will learn in later chapters, she has another strong female role model in the principal of her school, who is equally awesome. So, I don't know. I was like, what is the awesomest lady I could think of? And I gave her all these characters. Yeah, super smart.
Traveling scientist who goes to the Amazon.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you will find as you go along, she's a wise and empathetic role model and mentor and mother as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Here we go. Also, Robbi, do you illustrate after Matthew finishes his writing, or do you work at the same time?
Yes.
I have Matthew finish as much as possible. If you look at these pages in the book, they are all designed differently. Every single page is designed differently. So if Matthew goes back and he says, oh, I'd like to add a paragraph here, oh my gosh, it causes such a nightmare for me. I get so mad. Yeah. Because it bumps that paragraph down, and then I have to change all the pictures on the following pages.
So sometimes illustrators draw illustrations and send them off to their publishing company, and someone else puts them in the layout. The layout is the configuration of words and pictures. Robbi actually designed this book.
Configuration is how they're placed.
How they relate to one another, right? So this isn't just some words, then a picture, then words, then a picture. Yeah. It's kind of all a big mishmash, and that's what we wanted to do. We thought that would be cool, but it's a lot of work for Robbi.
Yeah.
And so Robbi has a rule that Aaron and I have to have our acts together.
They have to be all done.
We're allowed to change like one word later, but anything that messes with the spacing and the flow of Robbi's magnificent work, boo! Can't do that, or else we're up for some fisticuffs, which is another way of saying
it sometimes happens. Sometimes I'll have to change.
And then Robbi's usually actually more graceful than you'd suspect if you know Robbi.
Well, I'm graceful to Aaron and Natalie. I'm not so graceful to Matthew, but there
you
go.
I have to eat dinner in the hallway on those nights. All right, what else do we have? I saw something from Victor Wishna. From Vivian. Why did you decide for Moxie and Milton to be in 4th grade and 1st grade? That's a really great question, Vivian. Mm-hmm. I sometimes wonder where these characters came from. And I think it's worth noting that we did have a daughter and a son when I started writing this, our daughter Alden and our son Kato, who were not.
It's
what?
The relationship between Alden and Augie.
Oh, okay. Well, I was actually thinking more of Alden and Kato's sort of personality types when I put it together. But I don't think it's really based. This is only, as I looked around my house, I said, oh, there's an older daughter and younger boy. And I liked that dynamic. I'm
sorry, but I think the truth is you started out with an older brother and a younger sister, didn't you?
I am going to stop lying to you guys. It's tempting, to deceive you at every turn.
The very
I
first
did.
version, right? Wasn't it?
I think that's true. I think that's true.
Or it was from the perspective of the younger brother.
This book was originally called As Herman Sees It. We're getting all of the lies out of the way now.
Yeah.
The characters' names were originally Maggie and Herman, not Moxie and Milton. Aaron Stein, wise, judicious, tall, powerful, all-seeing, discerning, said, I like this book, I want to make this book with you, but those names are boring as heck.
They're not boring.
She
They're
did.
just not as
Don't misquote Aaron Stein.
They need to be more specific.
No, she wanted them to be...
There are plenty of Maggie or Hermans out there that you're insulting by saying that their names are boring.
In the context of a middle grade book that Aaron has to market in a vicious market.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was
yes.
clarity.
Okay. So there was a character named Miss Moxie in the first version, and Robbi said, how about we consider using that as the name of the protagonist? I liked it. If you guys don't know, the word moxie means sort of strength and verve. It means all the things we say at the beginning of this book, right? It means force of character, ultimate determination. It means death-defying nerve. You should get a more contemporary bottle that they might recognize,
Well, this is
too.
an old one. Because it was called A Wholesome Beverage Carbonated. Moxie is a clean, sparkling, bittersweet beverage prepared under hygienic conditions. It should be thoroughly cooled before serving in order to have it at its best.
So in the 1800s, you guys, Moxie Cola was sold as a patent medicine, which means they basically put it in a bottle and said this will heal you when you're sick, which was another not very true statement. This is more contemporary. But the marketing campaign for this soda or this medicine is the thing that actually invented the word moxie, which you guys can use to describe people who, like Moxie McCoy, are very self-confident and full of vim and verve and who live their life with a great deal of enthusiasm. So in any case, that's a vocabulary lesson, a history lesson. I can't remember what why did we decide them to be in 4th grade and 1st grade? We needed the older person to be very self-confident and to think that she could do it all by herself, but actually to need the assistance of the younger brother, Vivian, because what we wanted to show, and we hope you readers will realize as we go through this, is that you need other people to accomplish things. Your strengths are probably not enough to solve all the problems you will encounter in your life. You will need to rely on other people. I wish I could illustrate the Real McCoys by myself, but I can't, and so I have to endure the ongoing agony of dealing with Robbi and her capricious ways.
Which brings us to the next question.
Which is?
Wait, where'd it go?
I thought you had a question.
I did.
Okay.
Lily wants to know.
Okay.
If you fight a lot while making books.
I think fight is the wrong word.
Strong word.
We think of more sort of diplomatic ways of saying that we sometimes disagree. We have very different approaches
Very heartfelt discussions.
Yes. Matthew Swanson, when he was in college and was assigned a paper by his English professor, would finish that paper 7 to 10 days in advance of the deadline to avoid having any sort of pressure built into the situation. Robbi Bear does not like to finish a project within 5 to 7 minutes before the deadline arrives. She likes to always slide into home base right as the ball arrives from outfield.
Exciting.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have different approaches. We sometimes have some tension about those approaches, but all in all, I think we get along pretty well. We spend most of our time together, so we've had a lot of time to practice.
All right.
Yeah.
It is now 2:02.
Okay.
I think we need to move on with the agenda.
Okay, let us see what the agenda item is. I think we've reached the final agenda item. I can't make any promises, though. Robbi was very critical of the ending of my previous agenda.
Yes.
So here we go. Chapter 1 and 2, answer questions. And
Robbi tells Matthew what a great job he did. You did do a great job, Matthew.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Does that feel like a good culminating gesture to our first Real McCoys live cast?
I don't know. Check the rest of the agenda.
No, that was it. That was the end of the agenda.
Wait a minute.
That to me seemed like a very satisfying. What do you want to add something? Here, go ahead and add something while I talk to the people for a moment. So you guys, every day we are going to read a few chapters of the Real McCoys. There are varying lengths of chapters, so some days it'll be 1 chapter, some days it might be 2 or 3. I don't know. But if you want to read along with us, we're going to do this every day until the book is done. If people are still interested, we'll do book 2, we'll do book 3, we'll keep going. We want to hang out with you guys every day because we are also looking for stuff to do, and we really enjoy interacting with you guys. If you think of questions that you have when we're not online, you can send them to our Facebook page. You can have your parents do that. You can write us emails. Go ahead, Robbi. What do we have next? What's the final? Matthew sings a short song with the word bananas in it. Now, short could mean just a single line, right? If you have a friend named Hannah, give that girl some bananas, because she needs some potassium to stay healthy. Yeah. If you have a friend named Mark, Give that boy a pile of bark because it helps with digestion to have roughage in your gut. Yeah. That was terrible. Nobody wanted to hear that.
Amazing.
Nobody wanted to hear that.
I'm going to compliment you on what a good job you did. I'm going to go back one agenda item and say you did an excellent job.
Now do we have to add another agenda item? Or
We
can
just
that
have
be
to keep going. We're going to get stuck in an endless loop
I think these people
you singing
have
banana songs.
soup to eat. Please don't eat soup. Moxie wouldn't like that. Eat some avocados if you have
There
them.
was some contention in the comments. Some people are very fond of soup and don't appreciate that Moxie doesn't like soup.
The real truth is soup can be good in certain circumstances, but other times it's really not what you want to eat. If you're Matthew Swanson or Moxie McCoy. The truth, Vivian, is that I might be Moxie McCoy at heart. I might have written an autobiographical saga about myself, my insecurities, my dreams, my hopes, my unrequited...
Although when you were talking about Milton
Yeah.
panicking because he wasn't on time,
Yeah.
that's 100%
Yeah,
you.
I'm just a big hot mess, friends, and I write books about the fraying world. And on that cheerful gesture, we
We're
love
going to say
you
goodbye. We love
guys.
you guys. Thank
Come
you
back
for joining
tomorrow.
us. It was super fun.
Can I recap?
Oh.
Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, we're going to read another picture book. I don't know which one
I
yet.
haven't made the file yet.
We'll figure it out. We're going to read more Real McCoys. And we want to talk to you guys. If you have questions, let us know. Maybe we will do some more dancing. We might teach you some more songs. I'm making promises I
Yeah,
can't
know,
keep
I
at this
know.
point.
We don't know what we're doing
All
tomorrow.
right, friends,
It will be somewhat like this.
fist bumps of farewell.
Fist bumps, boop, boop, boop. Or elbow. Maybe we got to do elbows now. Elbows.
Virtual
All right.
elbows. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
We might have made your hands dirty. Go wash your hands.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
friends, goodbye. We love you.
Bye. Oops.
Oh, end it. End the stream.
I tried.